On today's episode, we're answering the question, no, we're not, because I'm on the wrong damn outline.
I think the issue is once you are there and you realize that you're there, it's hard to get back to where you originally were, because time doesn't come back, money doesn't come back. If you spend $1 once, it's gone. If you spend a minute once, it's gone. So being intentional about where you want to be and then being intentional about how you get there, these are super critical. I think it's more a mindset than anything else. Super critical, especially for founders and entrepreneurs and small businesses, because they really can't afford those issues. I've seen large corporations waste millions going the wrong way just to say, it didn't work, whatever. They have the funds, they have the resources. We as small business owners and entrepreneurs, these can be death threats to us, to our existence. So we should rather be very intentional what we do.
I want to shift quickly because you're talking about making a decision about where you want to be in 2, 3, 5 years. What do you do if that just feels overwhelming? I mean, I can't think about, honestly, next year sometimes. How do you think about that and get in the right mind frame?
That's a great question, actually. I believe that the moment you get up in the morning, you need to know what you do. You just don't sit on your computer and you start typing, right? Let's take an example. Let's say you are a young author and you want to write a book. You sit down and write, and then in the evening you go to bed, and next morning you wake up again and you write. If you do that without a clear plan, this book will look kind of different than as if you had a clear plan of what you want to write about. And the same is true for your business. The one thing that distinguishes us human beings from animals, there are not many things that distinguish us from them, but one for sure is that we have imagination. We can think about the future. We can see us in a different world, in a new role, or with different people in a new situation. And we should use this given gift in order to envision where we want to be and then consciously work towards it. So it is in us as human beings, we are able to do it. It needs a bit of practice, but without that, we are just all over the place.
So what I'm hearing and what I like about this is that we have that ability to have that imagination, which sets us apart. If we train ourselves, if we take the time to actually create the intention and we train ourselves, then we can create a practice where we're being more intentional with our strategy, and that should help us get to our goals, right? So
Absolutely.
what are some of the first steps to start making that happen?
To create strategy, you mean?
To teach or to implement strategy with intention, not just strategy. We're trying to delineate between the two and understand that strategy is one thing, but also creating a strategy with intention is a little bit more the important part, I guess.
Yeah, I think the magic happens when you use your strategizing, your strategic process, and you not only think about strategy. And what that means is, first of all, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, there is a reason why you do what you do. And this is typically not money. You typically didn't start a business because you wanted to be rich, but because you felt that what you can bring to the game, to the world, can help someone, can transform something, can make a difference. So if you are clear about this, this is your purpose, right? This is why you are there. What is the unique issue out there in the world that no one else is better positioned to solve as you? So this is the first piece. Then you decide, okay, if that's my purpose, what's valuable for me? And that's what I call values. I mean, it's clear, right? So if you know what is valuable to you, this then sets the tone of how you build your business and how you interact with people. Large organization often would then transfer those values into behavioral guidelines like leadership guidelines, leadership principles, or even put them into a code of conduct that translates values into how do I interact with suppliers, with other stakeholder groups. So if you're a small business owner, that's not really necessary, but you need to know what's important to you, what defines you, what is valuable for you, how you want to be treated, how you treat others. And with that in mind, you then, just a third step to be intentional is to be crystal clear what your mission is. And a mission is not a fancy term. A mission is really a no-frills statement about your business definition. What is it that you do? I could tell you that I do fancy things, but in the end, what I really do is I consult with entrepreneurs and organizations to create intentional strategy. That's what I do in no-frills terms. And then you have the base layer. That's the basis where you build your strategy on. And that is just a 2 to 3, maybe 5-year goal, and an idea of how you measure the progress to get there. And in the end, you define, okay, in order to get there, what do I have to do? What are the key pillars, the logic buckets? And some of them might be sales and business development. Another bucket might be marketing. A third bucket might be find proper resources, get funding, find angel investors. All those things play an important role when you're a startup or a young business. And honestly, some of these ideas are already in your head. They are there. You know in your guts what you want to do. The moment you structure it, you see the interdependencies between those things. You see how it all connects and how you can be intentional about how you manage it. The likelihood that you reach your goal is way higher than if you just have it somewhere in your head. So write it down and decide intentionally where you start, what your next step is, what your third step is in order to get there.
What I'm hearing, and I think this is a message that people really need to internalize, is that when we're becoming entrepreneurs or when we're starting these online businesses or we're small business owners, some of us don't look at our businesses and treat them as we would some of these larger businesses. And there's lessons that we can pull from them. You know, a lot of us left the corporate culture for a reason, but there's things that we should and could pull out that we can facilitate into our own businesses and be a little bit more the CEO. Like really, you know, some of us, and I've seen this happen, I know you've probably seen it happen as well, is where entrepreneurs are just sort of like playing at, and they're not really doing this with any intention, and they're not doing this with any plan. And they're just kind of like licking a promise and I hope I get there. We can pull some of these strategies that because you're a strategist and you work with large companies and you teach them how to actually, you know, create these intentional strategies that helps them do all these wonderful things in their business. We can pull those into our small business and see that kind of success. And I'm just really excited for people to understand that.
It's so important that we treat our businesses as businesses, no matter how large they are. They are a business. And there are business best practices out there that we can use and leverage, even if we are a one-man show, a solopreneur, a company that consists of maybe the 2 founders and some administrative assistants. It doesn't matter how large or small you are. Business is business, and you can use best practices. Don't treat your business like a hobby. If you want to make money with it, use business best practices in order to build a business.
I am, and Jenny will attest to this, I am the queen of winging it. This is how I live my life. And in the time that I've gotten to know you and I've, you know, been working with you on your stuff and all of this good stuff, you've won me over. I am like, now I'm just looking for a couple hours in my day to sit down and start doing what I know you teach. So how do you go from this is my vision where I want to be, and this is my buckets to get there? How do you now create the plan for things instead of just being Allison and winging it all the time?
What many entrepreneurs and small businesses struggle with is finding time, because we feel like there are only a finite number of hours every day, and there's so much on our to-do lists. And there's so much we want to achieve and so many ideas. We just need to stop and pause, because ideas and to-do lists are not strategic. They are not intentional. They are operational. This is the big difference between what we do every day and where we want to be in the future. The difference between getting where we want to be or not getting where we want to be is to stop and think again. And the moment you take just an hour out of your schedule, let's say each Friday evening or each Monday morning, whenever, and you start working on this plan, the moment you realize that a lot of things that you are doing right now, they are just not right. You don't need them anymore. It's just busy stuff. So much of what we do every day is just not important anymore. The moment we write down our intentional strategy, we can then focus on what's really important. And the speed that we pick up by that is amazing. You would not believe how much more you can achieve if you're intentional about what you want to achieve. And this is, again, it's shiny object syndrome that you want to avoid and being busy that you want to avoid. Busy is not getting you anywhere. There's this awesome phrase, busy is the new stupid. And I'm stupid many times a day. I'm just busy. I'm doing things that I enjoy doing because I always enjoyed them. And then I'm like, Alex, is that really what you want to do right now? What do you want to spend your time with? Or will you do that later? Like when you sit on your sofa in the evening, when you brought your child to bed, then it's time to do this fun stuff. Now be intentional about what you want to build and act accordingly. It's a method to hold ourselves accountable to our own standards.
Hold on. No, because, okay, so here's the thing. So apparently I start every episode with, okay, so, but Jenny called me out on it.
Oh
and
no, now it's awkward.
Now I don't want to do it, but it screws me up because I don't know how to get into the flow without my okay, so.